Now, Tyler and I are into musicals, but you aren't. What's your
Casual.
favorite dance sequence? You watch TV and music videos, right?
I mean, like, the Thriller music video is great. Does that count? Like, I think the choreography in Thriller is
I
pretty
feel
great.
like that.
It's so basic,
yeah.
right? Yeah, like everyone loves Thriller.
Thriller. Oh, one
Oh,
of
wow.
the
Corey doesn't
greatest
like
music
musicals.
videos
Picks
of
the
all
basic
time.
thing, surprising no one. That's what I know. Okay, what's a sequence? I mean, West Side Story is even more basic.
Yeah, you're like,
I'm hitting the tropes. What's
you
like?
love all that music. There's not a dance sequence in a music video.
I like Kendrick's "Not Like Us" because I feel like that's actually achievable.
Beautiful.
I respect the like staccato, like it's just got like a little, yeah. So I'm gonna say like I like a nice reserved dance. I can respect choreography. It's just intimidating.
Wow. I'm gonna go with Maya. Do you guys know who Maya is? She's
Oh, yeah.
an R&B singer.
Yeah, I remember
You don't know
Maya.
Maya?
I'm learning.
You listen to all. Okay.
I love R&B.
She sang the Rugrats theme song, "Take Me There." I'm
Yeah.
gonna go there.
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah,
She also
Maya.
sang on Ghetto Superstar.
Yes, Ghetto Superstar.
Okay,
Yes.
then I do know
I was
Maya.
like, you listen
I
to
know
enough
Maya.
rap.
Yeah.
But she had a dance break, and My Love Is Like, whoa. And this will be relevant later when we get deeper into the episode, I promise.
All right.
But she has a dance sequence in it, and it's incredible. So check out the My Love Is Like, whoa music video. when you
Joe
get a
scored
chance.
11 in 500 Days of Summer.
That's what I'm
There
talking
we
about.
go. I had to get that. It was a cold. It came at me. I wasn't ready. Now I processed.
You should always have
500
Joseph
Days. I just
Gordon-Levitt.
Gordon-Levitt with a little blue bird. 500 Days of Summer dance breakdown.
What about you?
Is it Get Me Bodied? That's the song by
Yes.
Yes. So I love Sweet Charity, the movie, Bob Fosse movie
Yeah.
starring Shirley MacLaine, and it's inspired. The Get Me Bodied video is inspired by a long dance sequence in that movie.
Wow, I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Beyonce had a Fosse era because also Single Ladies
Yes,
is very,
it's very
Fosse.
Fosse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every day's
Anything
a
Sam
school
Rockwell.
day.
Any movie Sam Rockwell's in when he dances
Wow.
is peak.
Oh, I guess he did play Fosse, didn't he?
Yeah,
On,
that's what
Fosse
made
Verdon.
me
Yeah,
tangent.
yeah.
But like that man can dance. So like Charlie's Angels or Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Any Sam Rockwell dancing.
I love that. Well, I'm glad we're in the spirit of dancing. Welcome everyone to DC Studios Showcase. I'm nerd commentator Frankie Smith.
I'm entertainment journalist Tyler Coates.
I'm comic correspondent Coy Jandro.
And I brought up dancing today because we are covering episode 1 and 2 of Peacemaker. It's finally out. I've missed it so much.
Same.
And it has an iconic intro dance scene, just like in season 1. And we actually have in the choreographer, Charissa Barton, in today to interview. So once again, this episode is jam-packed.
Once again, yeah.
We're gonna talk about episode 1 and 2. We're gonna give our thoughts and things that we noticed, and then we're gonna bring her out here. She is not just a choreographer, she went to Juilliard. She worked at the City Center, and she worked with her husband, Alan Tudyk, on directing 2 episodes of Resident Alien.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that's exciting. So without further ado, let's get into episode 1 of Peacemaker.
But first, there's spoilers ahead.
Yes.
So if you haven't watched the first 2 episodes of season 2, go watch them on HBO Max and then come back here and join us for this conversation.
I love that. Let's start with a synopsis.
So right off the bat, Chris uses the quantum unfolding chamber that we saw in season 1, but this time he discovers a parallel universe where his father, who died in season 1, and his brother, who he killed when he was a kid, are still alive. He also auditions for the Justice Gang in front of Maxwell Lord and Hawk Girl and Guy Gardner. Does not go well. They mock him the entire time. And we also saw a revised version of season 1 where they show up in the end, which we'll get into.
That's one of the most fascinating uses of a previously on, maybe in TV history.
never
I really want
guessed.
to talk about that.
And then among the other characters, we know Adebayo is separated from her wife. Harcourt is disgraced after the events of the previous season, and Argus is tracking the chamber as a potential threat. And then, of course, Chris is spiraling out, getting into drugs and orgies.
Pretty big orgy.
Gotta get there. But in the alternate world, he discovers it's like the best place for him. Everyone loves him, and he's tempted to stay there.
Let's start with the beginning. 2 things with the previously on and also his meeting with the Justice Gang. I'm glad that there is a companion podcast where James Gunn clarifies, because to me, when I watched the first episode, I read it as this was a Peacemaker from a different universe, right? That is almost identical to the Peacemaker that we saw in season 1, but that universe has a different Justice League. And you get what I mean?
I
And
see
so
that perspective.
those small things, so it's like, yeah, it's the same exact thing as, you know, Peacemaker season 1 and Justice League, but there are small shifts. And then that influenced what I saw in episode 1 and 2 because I'm
Because
like,
he's actually going to another dimension.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, this is different. Or even when I felt like people were acting differently, I was like, oh, it's because they're different.
So my interpretation leading up to this and what I feel like James is doing, which has me really happy, is in comics, continuity is a mess and changes and evolves, and canon is in the hands of the writer, the artist, and the people. To me, this feels like the most comic-y choice to literally make it like say us three are at a party and say like, you like somebody, I don't like them, and you're neutral towards them. A conversation all three of us have with this person could feel completely different, and I like that the interpretation of continuity in canon is in the experience of the beholder. So like when we all have different life experiences, that becomes our canon. So I love the previously on being like, and here's what happened, because we're gonna live different and have different experiences. And in comics, there's like, I mean, there's moments in comics that are completely different depending on who's writing the character, and this feels like that. This feels like we're jumping in, this stuff happened, here's our new continuity, and go.
Also, Superman happens. so
Yeah,
that-
there's
exactly.
a lot of things.
There's a lot of characters bleeding over here, so.
It's actually pretty common, so much so that there's a name for it called retcon.
Yes, I knew that.
Yeah, it paints things differently knowing that season 1 occurred with meta-humans existing for so long. And then just knowing some of the things that we see happen in season 2 in episode 1 and 2, that I'm like, oh man, now I know Superman exists, now I know there's a Justice Gang.
Yeah.
I noticed that when he went to that interview, a special someone was rushing out, a superhero, White Rabbit.
yeah.
Who is she? Like,
So White Rabbit is not a known character. She's you know those characters, I mean, kind of like Arm Fall Off Boy. Like there's certain characters that are made to be just like, here you go. And to me it feels like James Gunn was like, D-list. So like absolutely perfect.
Just cameos, right?
just a cameo,
Adding world building and flavor.
I feel like James Gunn just like throws a dart at the wall. Like he's a wall of every single character.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, let's put the Playboy button.
Like I
in
want
here.
Matter Eater Lad. Like there's people coming that I'm sure James, like Matter Eater Lad and Arm Fall Off Boy. Like there's icons of obscurity and he uses them well.
Yes. Well, let's talk about the relationships. I think the two primary relationships we see in episode 1 is between Harcourt and Adebayo. And I'm saying in relation to Peacemaker, to Chris. Adebayo's having issues. They seem closer and they're actually best friends. But she's having her own issues, right? She's separated from her wife. She's unemployed. And the same is going with Harcourt. She's blacklisted, right? And has been diagnosed with toxic masculinity, which I absolutely loved. What were your thoughts on the relationship between the two of them?
Adebayo like kind of blows everything up.
Yeah.
End of season 1, and that has the negative effect on Harcourt. So like, there's a lot of animosity there that just like creates more tension between those two that I think is going to be interesting to watch because they're now trying to figure out their place in the world in the same way that Chris is trying to find the world in which he belongs. They're like looking at their own world and be like, what am I doing here? What am I supposed to be?
Yeah.
What's my purpose? You know?
And I think that's huge. Like, what is your purpose? And we're seeing them all deal with it in different ways. For Harcourt, it's fighting people, beating people to a bullet.
I love that she just goes to bars to be like hit on so she can like beat the shit out of guys.
I love the way that she fights too. She reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever watched wrestling, Trish Stratus. She's a wrestler from the early 2000s and the 90s. And she was the Bombshell. She was blonde. And she used her legs a lot. And she had this super cool move where she would like I'm sorry, I have to demonstrate. She'd like wrap her legs around the guy's neck and like wrap around them and like take them down.
It's like momentum, which I like,
Yes.
because like she's physically smaller, like she's
Yes.
jacked, so she's got momentum and strength, but she has to like use inertia. And I
Yeah.
like the like plausible deniability of like how would a 5 foot whatever woman take on like a 6'2" guy, and all of that momentum. It looks great in fights too, because it feels so
Exactly.
big and comic-y.
Yes, exactly. And it just shows, like, to your point, like her knowing how she looks, what she can use, and then using that to her advantage.
Yeah.
And then on the opposite side, Chris decides to, you know, cope by organizing an orgy. How do you organize an orgy?
I don't know. It seems like a lot of work. I mean, again, it's a Virgo. I don't
You
want
got lists. You got to. Do you bring
Yeah.
a +1? Is it
Exactly.
implied?
Do you do a party full?
You might, and like you could.
Like, is that-
Well, I would want to see everyone's picture, you know?
like,
Yeah.
who all
There's some
gonna be
clarity.
there? Like, I mean,
Yeah, who's RSVPing?
Like who you bringing? Like I'd want to know like who the one away is, and also like you don't want to bring the weird guy to the orgy because you throw off the whole vibe.
And like,
You
you don't want to
don't.
run into your nemesis.
Yeah,
either.
like you've got to be really clean on that
awkward.
list.
Do you think running into your nemesis is a big issue in that universe? Like not just
Well,
someone
yeah,
you beef with, but
yeah.
like your nemesis.
In an orgy environment?
Period.
Oh, because like I don't want to see my nemesis naked. I thought
Or
that's what
do you
meant.
want to see your nemesis naked? They're vulnerable, and you can like, I don't know.
But so are you.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. You don't have to be naked at an orgy, I don't think.
He wasn't, and I felt weird for him.
I
Like,
think
that was
yeah,
my. I was
think
like,
it's sort of expected.
he stood out in a bad way. I'm like, what's happening?
Now, also in this episode, because the orgy isn't exciting Chris,
Yeah.
he decides to go through the QUC chamber and visit the other world. And in it, he sees his brother is alive. I was shocked. I don't know why, but it was shocking to see. I knew immediately that that was his brother.
Right.
I
Yeah.
like the choice of a character like Peacemaker, and it's hitting me now. Like, I like the orgy being what he would do when he can't find like stimuli enough. Because we've seen like exploration of drugs. We've seen like, you know, if you're fighting people for a living, like what do you do to get that rush? So I really like that we have like, you know, her going to a bar and like getting in fights, but that wouldn't be enough for Peacemaker because his world is so big and loud. It made me think of Tom Cruise. Like Tom Cruise, he jumps out of planes and he does like adrenaline stunts because like, how do you get excitement if you're already Tom Cruise?
Right.
And to me, Peacemaker's like, I do this for a living. What's going to be better? It's like 80 people at orgy at my house. And
Are you suggesting that Tom Cruise organizes orgies?
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying the level of stimuli required between Peacemaker and Tom Cruise might be similar.
Okay, okay.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you do to like let off steam when your life is so tense? Orgy. So
Orgy,
I
yeah.
like
But
that.
it doesn't work.
It
at the
doesn't.
end of the
So
day.
It
then he
doesn't
has to go
work.
through the
Yeah.
quantum.
A fun fact that James Gunn released on the podcast, John Cena actually has never done drugs. So in that scene, we see him use a bong and do some lines of coke, and they had to train him.
He seems
on
so
it.
wholesome.
Yeah.
Like everything he does for Make-A-Wish, he's I think still the Guinness World Record holder for most Make-A-Wishes.
Yeah.
Like he's a huge hip hop head. He wrestles. Like the guy seems great.
Yes, and that's really funny that you brought up wrestling because in my head, because there are infinite universes that we're now exposed to, there's not just a universe, obviously, where he's John Cena, Chris Smith is, but I'm thinking there is a version of Peacemaker that actually goes invisible, right? That you can't see. Because, you know,
Oh, right.
I was like, you guys,
Possibility.
okay. For the people at home, they're like, Frankie's
They're like,
hilarious.
yeah.
That's a really good joke.
That's I think it'd be great if one of his helmets did that for wrestling fans.
Oh, you're
Like
right.
the helmet goes on and then he disappears.
And in the end, we see, which I thought was a really cool scene, where he fights himself. What, would you immediately attack your doppelganger if he was in your room?
I feel like he was attacked. I interpret it as, you know, he tried to have a moment of peace,
No,
right?
I'm
Like,
saying Peacemaker 2 came in
Yeah.
and immediately was on go. Like, I need to.
I'm
attack
curious
this
what
guy.
Peacemaker 2's whole vibe is because of that. Because like
Yeah.
he seemed immediately on the offense. I don't know if Koi 2 would be on the offense or defense, but I definitely would be alarmed. I just don't know if like do you think you'd attack you? Because I think I
Yeah, and in
No,
this
I'm
universe, you're a superhero who probably has
I would
enemies.
assume it's like a clone. Or
I-
like
yeah,
an
and-
alien disguised as me.
I would immediately attack because of two reasons. If I was in Peacemaker's shoes.
Right.
In this world, to your point, it could be a clone. What are you doing in my room?
Right.
Unless it's to replace me, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
You'd
now
feel
it's
threatened.
Yeah, I'd feel threatened. What are you doing here? Why would you not come and look for me? this is clearly you're trying to take my life.
An element of surprise might be all you have because you're physical equals, because it's you.
Right. And like, how much of my mind do you know? Right. That I did think that the weapons he used were particularly cruel. Like those stars that came out were
He does seem a more
grinding in his
aggressive.
body.
Yeah.
But do we think that he was more aggressive because he was naturally, because we align ourselves with Chris 1, with Peacemaker 1, or was he, do you think he's more aggressive because that character, that version of Chris is more aggressive?
That's what I think the season might explore is like, I assume, you know, we literally get a man versus self metaphor. And I always love man versus self stories. So what's the story going to be if there is another one of him? Like, what's it going to do to his reality of himself? Like, how does he see himself literally? And what's that other one of him like?
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Would you fight to the death?
I don't know if I'd have a choice.
Yeah.
You know what
I
mean?
feel like
if-
you would
if-
be
if-
Chris 1 in this situation.
I would hope so. I would like to think so.
Yeah.
But if me came at me, what would me do?
What would me do?
What would me do?
Would you talk it out? I feel like you talk it out.
WWND, what would you
Yeah,
do?
like I would try to talk it out. Like I think we'd all hope we'd talk it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of bingo points.
Yeah, we
Oh,
just
well,
went through.
explain.
Yeah.
So-
Remember bingo?
We actually, before we watched the season, for those of you at home, we created a bingo card where we made some predictions for what would happen in season 2. So we're gonna mark off things that we saw happen in the first episode.
Yeah, so I'm going to go down the list.
Okay.
Number 1, Waller drops the hammer. She blacklists Harcourt.
Ooh, okay.
So if you had that, I don't remember who picked what. Do
don't-
you remember?
Yeah, I don't remember either, but we do have different cards.
Yes.
So we'll see
Someone
who
will
gets,
theoretically win if all goes well.
if
All right, I
all
don't
goes
have that
well.
one.
Word on the street is that Tyler rigged it.
Oh, is that
That's
something?
just what I
No.
heard. That's just what I
No,
heard.
no.
So
From
if
jump.
for the job,
That's-
if I win, that is through insane perseverance and against all odds.
I feel like stakes just got
Well,
raised.
it's just bingo. So
And if I lose, we know it. He said it's just
Number
bingo.
Number 2, Superman shows up, which we see.
We did
in
see.
We did see
we
the
see
intro.
his silhouette. I have that. I know I have that. Justice League status update.
Okay.
A new dance number. That was an easy one.
And what a new dance number. I want to give that credit for like how iconic the first one was and how out of nowhere it came. I feel like the stakes were as high on that minute of the show as anything else, because that's going to be the thing we live in.
I'm not gonna lie, I watched it because I work on the show. I was gonna skip it because I feel like it's like an anime intro.
Oh, you don't want spoilers?
Yeah, there's spoilers all in it.
I saw Tim Meadows in it.
Yeah, I saw Tim Meadows in it.
And he wasn't
I
in this
showed
episode?
that there were duplicates. So I saw a different version of Harcourt.
Yeah.
I saw his father was back in it. I was like, I didn't know he was in this season, you know? So
I like that anime. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Chris is pantless.
I mean,
yeah, okay, how can you not, you know?
I mean, thank God.
all that training, you put in that work and that effort, you don't wear pants.
See those thighs. Economos ditches the dye beard.
Oh, yeah.
Or the beard dye.
Yeah, but I thought it would go gray.
Yeah.
It would all be gray, yeah.
I got that one. Chris spirals hard. Definitely. Hardcore cracks in therapy. Peacemaker versus Peacemaker.
Who
Got it.
picked that?
I mean, the trailer
Stu.
strongly implied
Yeah.
it.
And finally, a new Peacemaker helmet.
Yay, yes.
I have that one. I know I have that one.
All right, well, before we go into episode 2, let's get a quick synopsis as well.
Yeah, so Rick Flag Sr. is back. He's director of Argus now. Chris and Vigilante hide Peacemaker 2's body. Harcourt wrestles with isolation. Adebayo has issues with Kia. That's her wife, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
correct.
The Argus agents meet eagerly. The 11th Street kids have a rooftop party, and a heartbroken Chris texts Harcourt too.
I'll start with that text.
Yeah.
That's why I brought up Maya earlier.
Okay.
And you're watching Insecure.
Yeah.
Did you finish it?
No, I'm on 3.
Okay, so I'll leave that alone. James Gunn always picks the perfect song, and he did not pick Return of the X for that. And I was like, James, I mean, what are we doing here? I guess because it's not a rock song.
I feel like
Yeah, it's
there's
not
a-
hair
there's a-
metal. He's really sticking to
For
his
that,
thing.
I think we would understand, especially since that intro has a rock.
But that
feel
world
to
feels
it.
so, it feels so auditorily toned. Like that metal, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it would be like,
I think Return of the X is
In the alternate,
transcends.
in your alternate reality, Peacemaker, where the soundtrack is all 90s R&B.
Your dimension has
No,
that.
it's not all night. It's, you know, there are songs that transcend. It's like, you know, you can find someone who only listens to hip hop, but they know every song of Paramore.
Sure.
It's like, you know.
Haley Williams, international
Paramore,
icon.
I can't wait to tell. Paramore is one of the biggest artists in the Black community.
Okay.
I don't know what Haley does, but you could go anywhere. You could go in the corner of Harlem. They gonna blast into you. I don't know what it
All
is,
right.
but it transcends all universes. I feel like Return of the X is one
Okay,
of those
that's
songs.
up there. All right.
Now that we've covered episode 1 and 2, let's jump into our interview with Charissa Barton. She's the choreographer of season 1 and 2 intro, which is one of my favorite parts of both shows. So I'm very excited to see what she has to say.
Well, we are excited to be joined by a guest today, Charissa Barton, who Peacemaker fans should know, choreographed the opening dance sequence in the credits, season 1 and season 2. You're also a creative director. You've worked with Julie Taymor, Robert Battle, and of course, James Gunn. And with your husband, Alan Tudyk, another DC universe actor, you directed 2 episodes of Resident Alien. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited
I'm so
to have
happy
you.
to be here. Thank you.
We typically like to kick things off by asking, what's your pop culture origin story? Where did you get started?
Okay, so I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Oh, you're Canadian.
I'm Canadian, yeah.
That's amazing.
And well, I'm a dual citizen now. I've lived in the U.S. since 1992, so I feel Canadian American. So I grew up in Edmonton. I have 2 siblings, and all 3 of us were put in dance classes when we were like 3 years old. I was actually just shy of 3 years old. My mother is a big fan of dance, and she was like, you girls are going into dance. Also, I need you in classes because I need some personal time. So I learned pretty quickly that I had sort of a natural ability in tap dancing. So we were really into like tap and jazz and competitions and musical theater, and we kind of didn't stop. So my pop culture references, let me see. I loved the movie Annie when I was growing up. I mean, I was 10,
Yeah.
I think, when it came out, and I was obsessed and loved all of Frank Oz's movies and The Muppet Show and that kind of thing. So I definitely leaned toward the musical and comedy stuff.
Yeah.
I loved Mr. T.
Oh,
I
okay.
loved Mr. T. So I actually created a character, and it became a family and an extended family thing that I would switch on. They would call in what I named Super Susu. It was like this insane. I think I look back on it now, and I'm like, I think that was how I broke tension in you know, like different challenging times growing up, was to embody this character named Super Susu, and they had a cape, and it was inspired by Mr. T.
So
some reason.
you have an alternate
So
personality.
yeah. And they were kind of he was kind of rude. He'd be like, Super Susu, can you come down? And I go, what do you want? I was like, what do you want? It was this most bizarre character, and anyway, but I loved wearing a cape, and so that was sort of my superhero alter ego when I was like 7 and 8 years old. And because we were entertainers and we were in dance, it just kind of naturally became this like weird movement. And when I look at the first opening for season 1, there are some moves in there that I feel like date all the way back to kind of they're a little Super Susu.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. So so those are my pop culture influences. Chorus line, you know, I am a dancer. That
You're
whole
speaking
thing.
my language, yeah.
I loved reading you were Juilliard trained because I love that first opening credit sequence taking the world by storm. Was there any conversation with any of your Juilliard professors about like from this to that?
Not so much my Juilliard professors, but I think, you know, I don't know. I feel like there's something about having all of that rigorous training and focus on excellence that comes out of going through a place like Juilliard that really helps to lay a solid foundation with everything. Like with comedy, I think, or anything funny, for me, the best comic actors and the best comedy writing is really grounded in truth. So even when it comes to dance, grounding it in like really authentic, it doesn't have to be technical, but like weighted. I think it helps. I think it makes it a little more relatable when, you know, we weren't trying to be funny with it. And I think if we tried to be funny with it, then it just would have come off as goofy.
It's like acting, you throw it away, right? You learn everything, so that way on the day you can express
it. So it's really like, so the roots are deep, and then I think there's a certain kind of confidence that comes with knowing that they're really deep, that is freeing.
Did you give them acting direction with the choreography? Like there's a seriousness sometimes, there's a longing we see in the sequences, or did the acters take over it themselves?
That's the actors.
That's the actors, yeah.
They're just really, really good. In the first season, there were a couple of moves at the very end of it where each of them do like 2 accents. And so when I had rehearsals with each of them, it was about finding for their specific character what felt the best. And it was interesting because they came in with ideas for like, you know, like almost like a separation of, well, there's the acting part of my job and the dancing is a completely different thing. And what I was trying to do is to bring the both together. No, you're still acting, and then the character that just happens to be doing some movements. And so with finding those 2 moves, like Chukwudi was like, what are your 2 moves? And immediately he was like, well, I feel like I'd like open my jacket and do a couple things. And I was like, well, there it is. Like, you really helped to inform. So he goes, I think he like opens it and then opens the other one, or opens it and closes it, or something like that. And so that was really rooted in his character and his acting. And when you're working with really good actors, you can trust them and trust that they know their work and their characters, and that they're gonna bring out their best. And then I just have to kind of relax everyone into the idea that dance and movement is just an extension of everyday movement. Like our bodies, we're meant to move. We're creatures that move. And then it's just sort of formalizing and using a different part of the brain to piece a sequence of movements together. And then once that happens, and you introduce music, then there's that grounded quality that I was referring to. It becomes a lot more natural than people think or assume when they walk in.
Who picked the music for
James?
James picked both songs, so he gave
Yes.
it to you, and you had to choose,
Yes.
you had to do the choreography. Was it hard to create choreography that was accessible to the entire cast?
So my husband is an actor, Alan Tudyk, and for season 1, this was also, mind you, in the middle of the early part of COVID. So it wasn't easy to get into a room with a lot of people.
Right.
It was a little scary. This was, before vaccines and all these scary stories out there. So Alan and I were living together in Vancouver, and he had just wrapped on his show. And so we went into a studio, and I was like, you are my test subject. And he was great. He was so into it. And I was able to gauge pretty quickly what, he sort of represented, I think, the average actor abilities in dance. And so I was able to find pretty quickly what might tip into too difficult and what might be too easy, because I didn't want it to be too easy either. And then creatively, it was great to have an actor in this space, because, they approach dance from a different place. And so he was sort of my measurement, because it turned out to be like right in the middle. And so for some of the cast had to work a little more on their own.
The kindness of that expression. A little more homework.
Practice.
Yeah.
They all show up really differently. So everyone across the board is nervous.
Yeah.
And I get that. If I were asked to walk in and act a scene, I'd be terrified.
Well, I'm very curious. You work with everyone individually, and then you're kind of building a group dance number. What is that like? How you, like, do you see where everyone is, and then how do you kind of match that tone, I guess, across everybody in one group shot?
Yeah. Well, there's 2 aspects of it. So The process is first understanding all of the characters and the story and how they're grouped together and how and at what point to introduce them in a very short amount of time. And then another variable is the song. So finding the, within the song, the phrasing, making sure that the phrasing of the music also works with shifting from one group to another group to another group or different people within it. And then from there, calculating ability and knowing that we have a very compressed amount of time to rehearse and to get everybody on the same page and to make sure that they're comfortable. It's a very concentrated effort, and making sure that, you know, there's some, season 2 especially kind of tells the story.
Yeah.
It's a lot more connected to the story than the first one. There are so many variables to take into account. And then within each group, finding a little bit of movement that fits the vibe of that particular group of characters. And then also just sort of assuming that there will be a willingness on the part of every actor to participate.
Right.
And the first season was, I mean, I'd never worked with most of, or I knew a couple of actors in season 1, but I'd never worked with any of them.
And well, did they know from the beginning when they signed on that they were also going to be dancing?
Doing a dance.
Yeah.
Which is a big, you know, it's if you were just reading that they do the intro is a dance, and you think about intros, that's at least a minute. So they were all thinking, do I have to learn like a minute and a half of choreography? This is not my expertise. I don't, you know, this isn't what I do. And as far as I know, no one had given them a heads up that this is you're not learning a minute and a half.
Right.
You're learning a phrase, a couple of phrases, and then maybe one giant group phase, which is still a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's not easy stuff. What looks simple on the surface when you try to do it, it's like, oh no, this is intentionally just a little unnatural.
Right.
That we try to make look natural, and they really, it's a different, like I said, it's a different part of the brain. And so, yeah, so a lot of different variables to take into account for both of them. The second one especially, because the song was different. It's such a great song. If you listen to the full song, it kind of moves through a lot of different things. And so it was also like finding the correct edit of the song.
Oh, interesting.
Did you do that?
I edited the song, and I found a couple of different variations and sent it off, and then James replied with, this will work. But it was a little tricky because, again, we're introducing different groups at different times, and then there's a bridge, and then the alternate universe in this second season was a whole other element that we didn't do the first time. And how do you introduce an alternate universe, almost like a second stage on the same stage? We're not going to build an entirely different stage, and then distinguish Harcourt 1 from Harcourt 2, and
Who I didn't realize I thought they were two different actors.
Oh, really?
In the opening sequence, because her physicality was so different.
Yeah.
That I was like, who is this other blonde woman?
Yes.
Who looks so much like that blonde?
yes.
Yeah. I was like, this is so weird. So
she
yeah.
does such a good job.
Did you see all of Peacemaker before you choreographed the intros? Because I felt like I was watching an anime opening, and that like it tells you everything you need to know about the season in the opening. So even with the dancing and the differences between the two Harcourts, you could tell there was more, I don't know, she seemed more feminine, and she was twirling a lot more, and there was like, was that intentional, or did you know already? Yeah.
Yeah, so I had read all of the scripts for the full season, so I had a really good sense of the story. And then, you know, there's a lot of back and forth with James, and he really helped to steer the intro to make sure that it was the right tone. And, you know, they had been shooting every day, and I was sort of coming in. I'd read the scripts, but I hadn't been on set. And so I leaned in a lot on James to help steer
physicality-wise, you've got someone who is so large in John Cena, but
Yeah.
has the physical expertise of wrestling and knowing how to sell something and doing all that.
Yeah.
Frank Grillo, an actual trained fighter.
Yeah.
Jennifer, who trains. Like, there's a lot of physical
Very.
actors,
Yeah.
but like, I don't think of someone as big as John Cena as very flexible. Like, were there things, like, I can't touch my toes. Like, were there things that were difficult because they weren't dancers that surprised you in working with someone like Grillo's so physical and his cardio's got to be crazy, but I noticed him wheezing at the end of the dance. Like, were there things that surprised you in that?
Yeah. Okay, so Frank is, he's a very intense person.
Yeah.
And I had been told he's, quite intense, so you should meet him before the first rehearsal. And then
Get used to the vibe.
So you have a sense of each other. And also I wanted to let him know, like, this is, we're cool. It's good. I know how to work with a lot of different people at different levels, and we'll be fine. And he was in his dressing room, and I walked up to his dressing room and the door opened and he kind of leaned back, hey, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of energy. He's like holding all of that energy in under his skin.
Yeah.
And so when it came to rehearsal, I didn't know what to expect, but because he's such a physical person and a boxer, and he mentioned that right off the top, he's like, I can punch. And I was like, great, because I have some punching in your section. It's this thing.
Yeah. When he slides out, like, that feels very him and the character.
That's totally him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told him I think there's a moment where you can just you come right to the camera, like right at the camera. It's like all that energy. And he was like, cool. And the first rehearsal with him, I think, was like 7 minutes.
It's a run.
It was fast and intense, and he was like, I got it. And he actually looked, I was like, for a first rehearsal, okay, he's good. It was like punch, down, step, and punch. And so he was like, I'm into it. Okay, I got this. And then, but there were other sections as well. And I think in his brain, he was like, this is it. This is what I got. I'm like, oh, no, there's more. There's more. And I didn't have another rehearsal with him. I think I was on the stage when he was available for another rehearsal. So my assistant at the time worked with him and taught him another phrase, but I hadn't seen it. So it was actually on the stage. Rehearsals were it was tight. We didn't have a single group rehearsal before everyone was on the stage.
Really?
Yeah, we just couldn't coordinate.
You'd never know.
Yeah.
So
it's beautiful.
we did, like,
It looks so together.
and there's professionals and a lot of them have done theater, so how to change spacing and be aware of each other and hold spacing and hit your marks and things like that. But it is a different thing working with. There were 17 people on the stage, and I think I had one rehearsal with maybe 2 of them for a part of it, Steve Agee and Tim, I think. You don't know, and they had entrances from off stage, so we had no time. So we're like really rely on the professionalism of these guys, and so yeah, Frank, when he showed up on stage, he was like super pumped. But I actually hadn't seen him do the final section, and I don't know if you noticed Frank in the final section. He's like, yeah, he's kind of doing his own thing, and I was like, Frank.
He's got my favorite crawl at the end when Eagly comes over, and there's just Frank feeling like he's just giving it everything. Like, the wheeze is a compliment. I say it with pride because that man put it all on the floor.
Yeah, he sure.
That man's cardio is incredible. He can run a marathon, and I just see him like.
The rest of the cast was super disciplined with doing it, performing the choreography as intended. and they were great. So like everyone held their spacing and everyone had the musicality, whatever. And then Frank came out and he was like, "Bablamo!" And like truly like, wow. I feel like a few different takes, and I think by the end he's got that like guitar thing, and I was like, yeah, you're definitely pulling attention. There's that. So that's why Frank, when I've been asked, like, who are the worst? Who are the worst? And like, Frank is my first one, because I'm like, Frank, you didn't do the choreography.
Right.
it looked good in the studio, and then you came out and you did your own thing. But he's got all that energy, so that's how I forgive him.
I'm curious how big the stage is compared to like a normal because when I think of dance, like going to see it in person, like stages are very kind of small, but I feel like on a sound stage you have much more room to like play around with, and also you're editing and cutting, so you can kind of do it from different angles. What is that? How is that process different than if you're choreographing something for kind of someone in an audience just sitting there watching?
Right. The first season and second season were really different. So the first one was on a high school stage.
Wow.
So it was really teeny.
Yeah.
And it was a smaller cast, so there weren't too many people, but it was a little crowded. And we didn't have proper wing space. So we kind of had to craft it around camera angles.
Right.
And but there's something about constraints that work really well creatively, because you have to find solutions.
Yeah.
But we also, first season, had a little more space, a little more metaphorical space, a little more time, and a little more breathing room. It was COVID times. It was kind of like everything was slower.
Right.
And so there was a little more time for exploration, but now we're back. And so time is compressed and there's urgency again. And so second season had a different quality in terms of the experience of making it. It was just a lot more compressed. But the stage was bigger. And so we had wing space. So we were able to, introduce Argus from behind the stage, which was really fun. And at one point we had talked about reintroducing the double doors in the back of the stage and having them in this one as well. But in the end, for the alternate universe, just used movie magic to kind of make that happen. Oh, and we were able to use wires.
Right, and have them kind of
float and fly up and do a little Cirque du Soleil. That's hard. Like, anybody who's never been up on, well, a lot of them had been up on wires for stunts, but spinning on wires is actually really hard. It's really tricky. It's getting David Denman, he's like 6'3", 6'4", like a big guy standing, I think it was called plumb, like the plumb line, and having to do like a pirouette on a wire.
So he's
was
doing
a
that.
big
It's not
ask.
someone
not a
moving
dancer,
him around.
Oh man, yeah, no, he's like pressing off and spinning himself. Jen was really good at it. She's, former gymnast, and Jen is just, excellent. She puts in the work to make sure that she just like nails everything. And she's so great. I love Jen. And David Denman too is also the kind of person. He showed up to rehearsals. He went hard. He was sweating by the end of those rehearsals. He was like, he worked so hard and was so good. And it's always impressive to me with big guys. Yeah. Like John, there's some big guys.
Like they're big. And the fact that the ensemble is so presentational, you're not distracted by the size of like a John Cena.
Right.
Is a testament to your work. The fact that when it ends, I'm not just like, that's a huge dude.
Right. To
like
try and move. Yeah. John. Like half of the cast are like big guys, tall and big, and so kudos to them, because it's not, when you're really a big guy like them, moving quickly and doing little articulations isn't easy.
I've been wondering, I love the details and all the work and all of the spectacle of it, but the actual idea of having a dance sequence in the open of a show is such a bold swing. Were you surprised by the reaction of the audience? Because it's almost as big of a thing as the show itself. People are like, what are you going to do season 2? What are you guys going to do? Like, the dance number became so iconic.
Yeah.
For you as a choreographer, what's that felt like?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing. It's such a good idea. Like, for James to have the insight to do this is just, it really does say a lot about his mind and his creative brain. And also his willingness to take risks, because it was a huge risk. It could very easily not have worked at all. But I trust James. I loved the idea. I thought it could be really fun. I had actually imagined doing just a standalone music video of superheroes at maybe a year or two prior. I was like, this is the opportunity to do like a version of that. And so it was very exciting. And so when it worked, and that the response was so positive, was really, it was very satisfying. And I've said this before, but I do really believe that for anyone looking for a kind of direct path to feeling a sense of joy and happiness, joy specifically, I think dance is the quickest way to get there, and music. So to have people resonate with it and to like want to learn it and learning it on their own really felt like this is a really cool thing. This is a really neat thing. And yeah, so it's and plus, you know, just being a part of it, a really good show is always a nice thing.
You very casually mentioned earlier that your husband is Alan Tudyk, which is also, I heard James didn't even know beforehand.
Yeah, no, I actually knew one of James's assistants on, I think producing assistant in season 1. I was in we were shooting in Vancouver. She is from Vancouver, and she heard that he was looking for a choreographer, and so texted me and said, "Can I submit you?" And I was like, of course. I was actually aware that James was in town and curious about what they were shooting.
Yeah.
Inside scoop. And so I said, yeah, of course. And so I was obviously thrilled to get a call, sent in my information, had a couple of interviews. And then it was after I sent the first clips to James of here's what I'm thinking. And it was the rehearsal with Alan. And I think that was the...
Wait a
he
second.
went, wait,
It's
is
like,
that
wow,
Alan
you booked
Tudyk?
Alan Tudyk. Wow, that's
What is
crazy.
Alan Tudyk doing in here? And then...
What a bold
then,
stand-in.
Yeah, it was a funny... it was a funny coincidence and obviously fun for Alan, too. It's like, I haven't seen James in a very long time. This will be really fun just to like appear.
Yeah.
I love how much you two work together. How was it working on Resident Alien with him?
So Alan directed the first 2 episodes of this 4th season of his show. And because we have worked really well together, and this is the first, you know, official directing for a television show that he's done. He wrote and directed his own show called Con Man. But he was less focused on the directing of that. This was like really focused on like proper directing, and so he asked me to assist him through the process because of my experience, and he also knows that I know his taste, and I know camera shots a little bit more, and so we got to work together in directing these first 2 episodes, and it was, I mean, you know, there's always moments of tension and disagreements.
Sure.
But we have a good marriage, and so we know how to work through those things. And and it's been we bring really different sets of experience and ways of thinking and creative brains to it. So between us, we were able to find some really cool stuff. Plus, it was really fun to, you know, when he was in front of the camera, he couldn't be behind the camera directing. So I stepped in, and so I got to direct his acting, which was fun. And
Is that like
so
a dream come true
like
of
he
watching
said,
him act for so long? Like, I can make some...
Right.
I can,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Tweak that
Yeah,
just a little bit. But he said at an interview once, how he phrased it was that I'm probably the only person that could come out and say, yeah, you're swinging some misses, bud. let's try a different approach to this. So it was, it's been really fun, and we hope we will continue to work on projects.
I've moderated panels for him, and he's always so proud of that show. And like the way he beams about it is so special, and it seems like such a passion project. But I know you also have one with One Love Fund, which he's also mentioned. I'd love to hear about that, because he's always so giddy and gleeful, and then he's always so sincere about these 2 things. But I don't know nearly enough about it. What's One Love Fund?
So One Love Fund is a charity we started, 501c3 that we started, which was basically a continuation of work that I had done prior. So I ran a different 501c3 that did some humanitarian work in Ethiopia and India and El Salvador, and we helped to meet the needs, like the very, very basic needs of people who didn't have very basic needs met, food and water and things like that. And when I left that organization to get back into my creative life, choreography and producing and entertainment, I knew that I couldn't, having seen all of the things that I had seen and the depth of the need out there. I couldn't just abandon it. So I talked to Alan and said, this I think was a way for us to kind of quietly and consistently continue to support different projects. And then make use of the platforms that we have to bring some awareness to real need out there. So we've continued to do that, and we just brought on a third, Kelsey, who's sitting back here, a third person onto our team to help build it out a little bit more, because we really, the heart of One Love Fund, the sort of motto is that every single life matters. Every single life has value. And so rather than, helping with the giant wash of we're just going to send money or resources to a general area. It's like, who are the people? Who are the individuals?
Yeah.
What do they need? And to see real transformation over all of the years that I've been doing this in real people's lives it doesn't take much. So we want to be able to continue to do that. So that's One Love Fund, because, one love, we're all just one.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Well, thank you, Charissa,
Thank
for
you so much,
joining us.
all of you. This was really fun.
This is so fun.
Yes, I love the intro dances. I wish I could do them. I can't dance.
I can't dance. I was so afraid that this interview. I was so afraid to be like, let's do it.
I was like,
Professional.
I said I can dance, but I'm bad at choreo. I'm a
tapping.
wedding dancer.
He's tapping.
Oh, but no, choreo. So I know we're going to wrap this up, but really quick. Brandon, season 2, showed up. First rehearsal, he was like, heads up, I've never danced. I don't even dance at weddings.
Oh, wow.
I do not dance. I'm not a dancer, so you're going to get what you're going to get. And I'm willing to work. But I had one rehearsal with him. He showed up to the second rehearsal, and he had it. He turned out to be one of the best dancers. And he told me after rap, he was like, this was so cool, because I really, truly didn't think that I would ever dance in my life. And now I feel like I can actually do it. And it's kind of been life-changing on that level.
You're
I
a
know how to
miracle
dance.
worker.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, but learning choreography is like
soon.
so Brandon, way to go, Brandon.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Anyone
hope for us
can
yet.
dance.
Well, we gotta. I mean, I'll give you we can go into a studio. And I'll
Okay, yeah,
teach you
let's
these.
do a rehearsal.
That's an
yeah.
insane
Yeah,
offer.
we'll do-
You should-
Yeah, the
you
next
should
next
take it.
episode. I'll come back.
100%. I will do that with you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love dancing.
I love the
Not
work.
doing
I
it.
don't like. Yeah, I love dancing as a concept over there. I respect it. I admire it from my seat.
Well, I challenge you.
I kind of like this was inspiring enough.
Yes.
And those intros. All right, and
Yes.
my fiance will be happy.
Let's get into the alternate universe that we see Chris in. His father's alive. He seems sweet.
Yeah. That
Is
was
that a red
surprising.
flag for you?
I think it's interesting because multiversal stuff usually doesn't let you kind of live in the other world. Like I find so many
Yeah.
moments in comics, movies, TV, there's just a pop. And the fact that we've spent a whole episode, I'm wondering how much of the season is in that world. I'm wondering how much, because this feels so much like an Earth 2. This feels like a comic where you're getting a whole story there, but that's alarming. So it's a red flag from a comic book standpoint.
For me, it made me wonder, because what's different besides Keith not dying, right?
Right.
What could have changed with Augie that he's no longer a racist and a terrible dad?
I mean, that's a
right?
big butterfly
That
effect.
from the beginning, because he was a terrible dad before Keith died.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So what is it that made it different?
Well, you look at butterfly effect, right? They say the flap of a butterfly wing can cause a hurricane. So if something small and if something big like a brother's, that's a huge ramification.
But
I'm
that's
saying
that's more of a
before then,
time
he was
travel
like
thing.
that.
Yeah, because this is an alternate universe. So
I'm
it's
just
not
saying consequence.
Yeah,
like,
it's not
that is more time travel. But
Yeah.
consequences from small actions. This is a
Right.
big action.
Right. Well, that's the tricky thing, because this is alternate universe, so it's not
It's not the same.
history is
That's
not
true.
alternate history necessarily, where Keith didn't die, so his dad's not a jerk. But I think that's interesting because I'm dubious.
Yuzubi is.
Yeah, because usually every other alternate.
It's a
history's
version of
bad.
ourselves, to
Yeah.
your point, that has that. We can still call it a butterfly effect.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, Augie seemed awful before the death, right?
Sure,
he
sure.
was doing a fight club with his children. So I'm like, it wasn't like he was like this great dad and then he went down the dark path. So, but they seem loving. Like the household seemed great. And I could definitely see, especially someone like Peacemaker 1 who's trying to figure out what he's doing with his life, kind of gravitate to this world where everything seems to work out. And it looks like he's gonna hit a Miguel O'Hara and try to like take that man's spot, I think, eventually.
Yeah.
My question is, would you be able to cut your own self up? That was brutal.
Yeah, that was a moment of introspection for me. I was like, would I be able to do this to save my own life, to cut my own self?
I don't know if I could do it to a human, period.
Yeah,
but
no.
like, he was like holding his own head at one point. I was like,
Vigilante's joy was hilarious, though.
I think that's why he called him over.
I mean,
Leota.
who you gonna call?
Yeah,
Vigilante.
Which we also found out that Vigilante is ace, and that he does sex just to like, I don't know, connect with his friend, which I thought was interesting.
I like Vigilante so far even more this season because he feels like so in-world. Like all of his beats feel very like, oh, that makes sense. Like I didn't realize how much we knew Vigilante until he started saying stuff, and I was like, that tracks.
Yeah.
Like it's so comfortable, and I really like the writing of him because he feels like, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, speaking of, I will talk comics at the end of the episode, but this second episode made me realize just how much this show is informed of the comics. There's a couple comic runs like we got here, and there's one back there I'm going to talk about, but it's so impressive that when a show is so formative that it reframes an entire tone, and I feel like Vigilante and Peacemaker are now exactly this world in the comics. Like, it's such a specific narrative that I was like, oh, wow, I feel like I'm going back to school. Like, this second season, I'm like, and we're sophomores. Like, it feels like we're back at something.
Absolutely, and I think the current run of Peacemaker is exclusively, which we could see in the way that they're drawn, based on what the character that James Gunn created.
Yeah, he's a story supervisor, like overseer of them, and it's like very clearly like those guys. And as a comic fan, it's great to see this is a great access point for people that like the show to not be intimidated by comics. Like if you like this, then you can get into other stuff. But this is a good like gateway. So I want to talk about those later. But these are like Eagly double feature is a Vigilante story and a Peacemaker story back to back. So it's really fun for us to have that feel just like the show.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about Leota and her fighting with her wife. So they're separated right now. And I don't know why. I got so angry at Kia for being like, we should be back in Gotham. And I was like, girl, why are you rushing to Gotham? Like, what's going on
How
over
bad
there?
is life if you want to go back to Gotham?
I was like, so you're...
I mean, she's a city girl.
So
Just
your
like
car,
you.
excuse me, my car hasn't, okay, I don't own a car. My bike has never been blown up. You understand? Like, I've never drank water and there's laughing gas that could kill me inside of it.
But that's how a lot of people that aren't in LA or New York think it is. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe we're just judgmental of Gotham. Maybe it's not so bad, and we're suburban folk to the city folk we are.
I guess. We also see some of the fallout from Superman. And I don't want to call it fallout, but Rick Flag Sr. is back, and he's the head of Argus, and he is heavily pursuing Chris, which, now he knows that Chris killed his son. And I do think that Rick Flag Sr. is a butthead. Ever since Creature Commandos, I'm like, he leads with his libido.
Very emotional.
He's very emotional. I think he's a bit arrogant as well. And I like Frank Grillo. I think he's cool, but I think Rick Flag Sr. is a butthead. And now I know he's using all of these funds to pursue Chris. And I kind of get it.
He killed his son. Like, I mean,
but he's like, it's a vendetta. It's not like official business.
It's not official, and it's so very clear that he's doing it.
But when you climb the ladder to like, say like someone killed someone you loved, and you were in a field that could get like, I can see it makes sense.
As someone once said, with power comes great responsibility. So
someone did.
Someone did say that. So we want that for Rick Flag. Someone random. Someone
an
random.
uncle. Some guy's uncle.
And we're also getting to see a lot of Argus. We got introduced to Sasha Bordeaux and also Langston Fleury.
Are these people that you knew before? Or these
I
are
knew
new?
Sasha Bordeaux. Did you know?
But different like level. Like the character is a little different. I feel like she's a little more power.
Yeah.
Like a little bit more leveled up here.
then
Which suits the world.
Which suits the world. Yeah, that metahumans have been out for a very long time, so I can imagine her like being a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
I didn't know Langston Fleury.
I didn't either, and I don't know if that's a Tim Meadows original. Like I don't know if this character is new to me, but it definitely feels like a Tim Meadows like character. So I don't know if it's original or if it's like an adaptation.
Having him in there is iconic. I cannot read that character at all. If he's being sincere, if he has, you know, an ulterior alternative
motive.
Yeah. And even him talking about bird blindness, at first I was like, what are you talking
That
about?
joke did not work for me the first time, but
Yeah.
with, you know, like jokes are like 1, 2, 3. By 2, I was in. Like
You
the
were
first
in.
time they said it, I was like, and then I was immediately like, this is hilarious.
Do you think it's real?
I mean, I know that some people can't see colors, some people can't
No,
see
I
faces.
meant in universe.
Oh, I was like,
He's like, well, I don't think it's real, but
I think not in like but I think it's possible.
that it's real.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Something, I don't know, something
think it's
about him
deceitful?
seems disingenuous. I don't know what it is.
Well, there's a smarminess to his humor and the way he like delivers a line. that
Yeah.
You're just like,
yeah.
and also he's Argus, so like,
And I think it's the way he talks to Economos. Like, I know everyone disrespects Economos when they meet him, but his seems especially cruel and pointed.
he's not family yet.
Yeah.
He's not family.
Too soon, too familiar.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
to like give him some weird name he doesn't want. and,
Right.
Like, I also think it's cruel of Rick Flag Sr., which is probably why I think he's a butthead, to assign Economos on, you know,
To track, yeah.
Oh, that
Yes.
feels like, I feel like that's conscious in a way to manipulate the whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the way Rick Flag Sr. is moving, it's like Emperor Palpatine. Like, I feel like it's
Yeah.
very, like, he's got all these different things going on at once.
That's fair. That's
And
fair.
Argus, I like that it feels like a CIA or FBI. Like, it already feels so ingrained. Like, I really like how it feels like a government entity that you just, in our universe, just flippantly mention. It feels very real and lived in.
Yeah. Well, let's finish talking about the rooftop party. The 11th Street kids finally get back together. And it's not an orgy, but he definitely seems to enjoy it
Yeah.
so much more. And I think we find out that Hardcore and Chris had a little rendezvous
Something happened on a boat,
on the boat.
as that's the place where things happen.
On boats.
Boats, yeah,
I brought up
famously.
going on boats yesterday in the green room. You guys were like, we don't get invited to boats.
I mean, I haven't been on a boat in a long time, but my prom ended on a boat, but that was to make sure things didn't happen.
That's the most
After
Boston
prom,
thing
yeah, we
I've
went around
ever
Boston
heard.
Habit. But like they kept an eye on us. It was like teachers being like, "You guys can't go home."
When you
mischievous
guys
kids.
go on boats in Boston, do you throw off tea? Like
Just
as a cue?
ceremonially, like we
Yeah.
all just keep a little tea in our pocket.
Yeah,
We have one Lipton, so we just throw out and go, "Ha British." We don't, but now I will.
Yeah, you should.
I need to.
You should.
Ceremonial tea.
Yeah, I need to meet more people with boats. Is my problem.
Yeah.
I just don't know many.
I am very surprised you're very fancy.
Well,
You know,
if you have a boat, reach out.
I think we also see how the dynamic between everyone's relationship evolves. Like, obviously, we saw those seeds planted at the ending of Peacemaker, right? We saw Leota and Chris become real friends. We see Hardcore kind of warm up to the idea of her being with Chris. And the Economos is, you know, always added on to there. He's like the middle child, you know? But what were your thoughts on the rooftop?
I like the rooftop because it feels like now we're kind of like getting the gang together. It feels like episode 1 was setting the setting and setting the world, and now episode 2 is like, hey, remember how much you love these characters? That like it felt more like home. Like again, I said like sophomore year, like you find your rhythm, you find your friends, you get that flavor. But I'm wondering if that is so it feels off when we're not there. Like how much Earth 2 or how much like in movies that have this multidimensional element, I find comics tend to live there more. Like,
Right,
like
yeah.
Superman Red Sun, whole complete story. But like a Sliding Doors or something, it's like you're piecing it together so you feel the
Yeah, it's more
disjointedness.
about like knowing the difference between
Right.
like and like Sliding Doors is about like chance, you know, like if you know if she'd gotten on that train, like her life would have gone. So it's like a choose your own adventure.
But everything everywhere all at
type
once,
of
like more
thing.
like a full another dimension.
Yeah,
And this
yeah.
feels like it's gonna be used to betray how we feel about these guys on the roof. That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like they're setting us up to hurt.
I think it was also set up for Chris to be rejected by Hardcore and ultimately make that decision to go to that other universe,
where he knows he can maybe have a bit of a
which is creepy.
Sure,
You know, like if I reject a guy, don't go to another universe to go date me.
And pretend to be the other version of you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Casually text, sup, you up?
I mean, it's very rom-com territory. That's like
What rom-com is like that?
While you're sleeping.
Is this a multiverse story and while you were
No,
sleeping?
no, no,
Oh,
no.
the idea of
Pretending-
impersonation of someone else.
impersonating
It's
someone.
a very different movie than
got
I saw
it.
it as a kid.
Yeah, You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
They're like kind of pretending to be other people.
Okay.
The Truth About Cats and Dogs. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Is Notting Hill, would that qualify? Because it's like not famous.
No, because they know who each other
Oh,
are.
okay.
Like they know she's
You Got Mail
famous.
is about catfishing?
Kinda.
Yeah.
They don't know. Do you not know? So they meet in a chat room, and they become flirty over the internet, but in real life they hate each other, because Tom Hanks is like the head of like a Barnes and Noble type of like big box bookstore, and Meg Ryan has like a small children's bookstore like on the Upper West Side. You should see this. This
It's
is
a great
like
film
literally
classic.
your-
Nowadays,
does
it'd be
he
Jeff Bezos
ultimately
and
end
Barnes
up
Noble.
closing down her children's bookstore?
Spoiler alert, but yes, and then they fall in love.
That's
Spoilers for
insane.
Yeah.
I could never.
Well,
Well, then there's a third act there waiting for you to
Don't
find
worry,
out how
to
it
go
goes.
watch You've Got Mail. But yeah,
Got
that's
Mail.
like that's a very such a classic rom-com trope to like pretend you're somebody else to win love. So
That's a terrible
That's
way
a-
to start a relationship.
well, yes, relationships based on lies and stress are not always going to work out in the end, but
What can you do?
Go to another dimension.
exactly.
Tyler, what are other movies or TV shows where we see a character escape to another universe?
Another universe. I think like the biggest one is Wizard of Oz. I mean,
never-
she's in her dream state. But
If you go by Wicked, right, she was taken to another universe. That's
that's
the
true.
canon there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It
Well,
wasn't-
on that, and yeah, because they live in the dream.
Oh, they live in the dream?
Yeah, it's all Dorothy's dream.
Yeah, the color, all the color.
No, but
So Wicked actually isn't real. It just takes place in Dorothy's dream when you think about it.
If you zoom out
so
enough.
that is a vivid dream. I
Yeah.
didn't think about that. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought that Glinda put a little magic on her to think it was a dream. Damn.
I like your headcanon, but
Sprinkle a little something so this 13-year-old child
Hallucinate,
doesn't
child.
remember the time that we hunted her and made her murder 2 witches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You think she was just yeah, well, I mean, in The Wizard of Oz, she has a dream and goes to Oz.
Right, but that's
But
what
yeah,
I'm saying.
but that's the thing. I think a lot of like, I think that kind of alternate dimension, like metaverse, is a very new phenomenon in media. I mean, maybe not so much in comic books, obviously.
I
but
think the world's catching up to the density of like nerds.
yeah, I think for a long time it was seen as like, I mean, like David Lynch is very much dream oriented and like, the alternative places, like, is it real or is it like a figment of your own imagination?
I think the 90s started planting seeds like American Psycho and like Terrence Malick's work, like, 12 Monkeys and American Psycho both kind of dabbled. And now we can tell like continuations of those stories. Before it'd be like the ending where it'd be like, is that, oh my God. And now it's like, we're going to start there. And then we're going to go, like Severance feels to me like the closest comp, right? Like,
Right,
it's
yeah.
pursuing someone under false identity.
And you're the same
and you're-
person.
Yeah.
It's the same body.
I love that, especially with things like Severance, we're now exploring the morality behind assuming another identity.
Aladdin
or
didn't
even
care.
like, what is it like to influence someone's thoughts, to pretend you're your doppelganger? And I think Severance explores it a lot, where we're now having discussions on consent, right? Can you give consent if they think you're your doppelganger, but you are your doppelganger? And that's why I think what Peacemaker is considering doing by taking over his other self's life, he's removing consent from everyone he introduces himself to because they don't know who he is.
But will they set it up like a rom-com, like all the traditional ones that you're referring, like, because there's so many that is the impetus, but I think we were more forgiving then because now we've added the multiversal element that feels sketchy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that, and maybe things are different now that Superman's out and hope is back in the world. But I feel like we're more cynical in nature than we were when You Got Mail, came out, right? I think The Materialist is a good example, and just the response to it and how you know, this woman choosing love over money.
I think we're also more media discerning. I think that rom-coms, like people are like, oh, we don't make rom-coms like we used to. I think escapism was more of an escape before. And I think that comes down to like the internet. I think we know more and more about these actors. I think YouTube and TikTok has made like what day-to-day people do more public, so the public people are less public. So I think that when we watch a movie, we know that actor. And so we're a little bit more like, wait, I know that person. That's not okay to do. I think our media literacy has changed.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we don't like liars as much.
Yeah, that's changed.
Don't lie to me about what's
I
real.
remember when lying was sexy.
Now, before we wrap up, let's get into the bingo. We had a couple this episode.
We have 5 this time.
All right, let's hear it.
Chris is shirtless.
Come on. Obviously, right? Why not?
Surprised it took that long. A Suicide Squad flashback. Yes, do I have that? Eagly and Chris share a sweet moment.
That was a great moment, and I'm now really worried for Eagly. Not gonna lie, anytime there's that much love, I worry.
Vigilante gets his feelings hurt. And Eagly saves the day from the home invaders.
4 to 5.
Yeah, Eagly does not mess around, let me
No.
tell you. I've never seen a bald eagle, but I'm definitely terrified of them now, let me tell you. Before we end the episode, I would love for us to go through our DC Studio Showcase Spotlight. So, let's hear it. What do you guys got?
I'm going to stick with David Lynch and say Mulholland Drive.
Okay.
Which I loved. It's a great movie. It's really crazy. It's really weird. You usually have to read an explanation of what happens after you watch it, but I think it's great. It's worth it. Yeah.
I love that.
I'm gonna use my time to talk about the Peacemaker presents Vigilante Eagly double feature. This is a Black Label book, which is this great, like, kind of own corner of universe where there's not a lot of other continuity, not a lot of canon you have to read. You can read just this book, and it's in the world that feels just like the Peacemaker show. So I love this comic because not only does it look like John Cena, not only is it, you know, a Vigilante comic, there's an Eagly comic on the back, and then there's a Peacemaker in the front. But basically, you don't need to read other comics. You can watch the show and feel like you're in this world, and it's a great way to get into other comics. But also, could you hand me those two right there?
Of course.
I'm spotlighting comics. If you want like the old school classic feel of Peacemaker before, you know, kind of a tonal shift, the more what the characters based on that has become the sardonic. This is a really great collection, but one of my personal favorite Peacemakers of all time. This might be my favorite Peacemaker comic. This is Peacemaker Tries Hard. And this came out in between season 1 and season 2, and it involves a kidnapped dog named Bruce Wayne, and the confusion of a lot of people thinking that Bruce Wayne has been kidnapped, but it's a dog named Bruce Wayne because Peacemaker's that kind of dude. This book is so freaking good. Try these out. That's my spotlight.
I love it. I'm gonna go with Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I really love Kung Fu. Michelle Yeoh is in it. She's great. And it's an immigrant story. It's about a woman and her daughter trying to connect, but also her grappling with her life and whether or not she wants to be there. And similar to Peacemaker, it's about looking into other versions of your life and seeing why your life specifically is perfect for you. I know. It's about the friends you make along the way, you know?
Just like this podcast.
Just like this podcast. And with that, that's what we have for our show today. Be sure to catch new episodes of DC Studio Showcase every other Friday on HBO Max, HBO Max's YouTube, or you can watch us in all our beautiful glory in the blue void on Spotify. You can also listen to us anywhere that there are podcasts. This is the most accessible podcast, I think, of all time.
Yeah.
I'm dubbing it.
You
know
can find
what I mean?
it anywhere you look.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you have something you want to say to us, you can definitely comment on YouTube or Spotify, or you can reach us directly. You can find me on all platforms at Fantastic Frankie.
I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky under Tyler Coates.
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at KoiJohnDro, and you can find all of the comics, these and more, at DC Universe Infinite app. The DC Universe Infinite app is an online DC comic catalog that I adore. These books and so many more over there. Check it out.
And if you're a fan of this podcast, please leave us a great review. Really appreciate it.
And that's today's show.
This was an OBB sound production from HBO Max and DC Studios, hosted by Frankie Smith, Tyler Coates, and myself, KoiJohnDro. Executive producers for DC Studios, Phil Sopanides, Gary Barbosa. Executive producers for DC are Mike Pilata and Victor Diaz. Executive producer for HBO Max is Becky Rowe. Producer for HBO Max is Aaron Kelly. Executive producers for OBB are Michael D. Ratner, Scott Ratner, and Toby Lawless. Production manager Kevin Lynn. Studio coordinator Elijah Matias. Director of photography Heath Gresham. First assistant camera Chris Piper. Camera operator Ben Cohen. Gaffer Arthur Garcia. Key grip Sam Satoski. Sound mixer and editor Josh Falcon. Sound mixer Darren Bowling. Composer Ethan Walter of The Ringers. Hair and makeup artist Kendall Shannon. Host coaching Lisa Linky. Associate producer Tess Bartholomew. Production assistant Antonio Cavallo. Post-production supervisor Mariana Chrysostamo. Assistant editor Mark Alcacid. Editor Adam Grabarnik. Director of Creative Development and Social Strategy Lenore Castro. Senior Coordinator Creative Development and Social Strategy Sharif Bakari. Special thanks OBB intern Kira Hochberg. OBB intern Amaya Machni. DC intern Ava Escada. Associate producer Chris Stith.